Whispers in the dark, strangers at your door, a Halloween party gone wrong, 5 true stories you shouldn't hear alone. A couple I know asked me to house sit for them while they were on vacation in Maine. It was one of those older homes that feels like it has way more square footage than it should. Creaky stairs, long narrow hallways, and way too many doors that lead to tiny closets. I was 25 at the time and figured a week of peace and quiet would be great. For the first few days, everything was normal. I fed their cats, watered the plants, went to work during the day, and just watched Netflix and YouTube at night. On the 4th night, I was up late on my laptop in the living room when I heard what I swear sounded like footsteps upstairs. The house isn't huge, so I thought maybe one of the cats got trapped in a room. When I went up, both cats were asleep in the master bedroom. I figured it was just the house settling, but the sound wasn't random creaks. It was like a person walking slowly across the hallway. The next night, I woke up around 3:30 a.m., I want to say, because I heard something slide across the floor above me. It was like a chair being dragged. I texted the homeowners asking if there was anyone with a key, or maybe a neighbor checking in. They said no, just me. The part that really messed me up happened the night before they came home. I was in bed scrolling on my phone, and I heard whispering. Like actual whispering. At first I thought it was a TV downstairs, but it was coming from the hallway. 2 distinct voices, one male, one female, but super soft, like they were trying not to wake me up. I grabbed my phone flashlight, opened the door, and the second I did, it stopped. Dead silence. I checked every room upstairs and found nothing. No open windows, no sign of anyone breaking in. Here's where it gets really weird. When the couple came home, I casually mentioned the noises, half joking, half hoping they'd say, "Oh yeah, old pipes or something." The wife went completely pale. She said, "You heard them too?" Apparently, every house sitter they had has mentioned people talking upstairs, or someone walking in the hallway. They told me they had the place checked for wiring issues, animals, whatever, and nothing came about. The husband even said he once stayed up all night trying to catch whoever it was, but never saw anything. I didn't believe in ghosts before this, and honestly, I still don't know what I believe now. I've been in a lot of old houses, and none of them ever felt like that one. I still think about those whispers sometimes, not because of what they said, but because it sounded like they were standing right outside my door. I was home alone once when my parents were out of town. We had just moved into our house, so there was an empty lot next to our house, with the house half built. My parents were the types to leave the outdoor side garage door unlocked. Well, while they were gone, I was watching TV, and all of a sudden the door that leads into my garage from the inside starts to wiggle. I put my TV on mute and I listen again. I see it actually move that time. I start freaking out, and I'm kind of in shock, looking for the phone. I can't find the house phone, so I search for my cell. Remembered I left my charger in my parents' car, so I'm frantically looking for the house phone. Our house was so new, my mom hadn't even put blinds or drapes up in the kitchen or living room. Well, whoever was wiggling my garage doorknob starts banging on the windows in my living room. Again, no blinds or phone. And at that moment, I realize the sky is seeing my every move, so I shoot upstairs, again looking frantically for the phone, and also looking to figure out how and where I jump out of the house to get away from the maniac that's outside my house if I needed to. He then starts pounding on my front door. I can tell at that point he's using something metal or plastic by the sound of the thumps. I really thought he was going to shoot my door open. I remember at that moment I was pissed at myself for being a dumbass teenager that frequently talked on the phone, because I always just left it lying around, never putting it back on the base. I wanted so badly to push the button that detects where my house phone is, but I thought if he heard where it was, he'd break the window nearest to it and take it. I then remembered I left the phone in my mom's room, and as I passed the hallway to her room, I see 2 people pacing in front of my house. I'm freaking out trying to find my dad's gun in my parents' bedroom. I find the phone and call 911. As I'm on the phone, the window breaks. I'm upstairs and I'm scared to death. Suddenly, everything goes silent. I'm waiting in my parents' pitch black closet for what seems like an eternity. Then I hear the sirens. Cops show up, but there is no one to be found. I figured that they hadn't gone too far since it had just occurred. Cops never found my tormentors. On the plus side, the company building the house next door, same company that built ours, hired overnight security to stay on our street until the house was built, which was definitely refreshing. The story I'm about to tell you happened to my sister. Her husband and her had just had their first child a few months prior. My brother-in-law was working the graveyard shift at this job as my sister stayed home taking care of my nephew. Around 2 a.m., she heard a loud knocking on her back door. She went to go check it out and saw a lady banging on the door asking for my sister to let her in. The lady told my sister that her husband had just beat her down the street and was looking for her. My sister was hesitant to let her in since she had a newborn in the house and didn't want to interfere. She told the lady that the best she could do was call the police for her. The lady told my sister to not call the police and to let her in. This is where my sister got suspicious. She went to get her phone and called 911. When she went back to the door, the lady was gone. The police arrived a few minutes later, and they told my sister that the same situation happened a few streets down. Apparently, the couple would do this act to get into people's homes. Me and my aunt used to throw a massive Halloween party every year. We would rent this building by a cemetery near our home. The last year we did it there, we had been up at the building decorating for 2 days, and it was about 3 in the morning. We had set up this owl by the front door that would hoot when someone walked by, so it was motion activated. We locked up the front door and went to close up the back as we were done for the night. There was a stage in this building that we would put the curtains up and make it a mad scientist lab up there. My aunt and I went up on the stage to turn everything off. All of a sudden, we hear the front door that we just locked open up and the owl makes a hoot sound. We were behind the curtains and couldn't see what it was. We stood there frozen in fear and staring wide-eyed at each other, not sure who just walked in. All of a sudden, a massive gust of wind blew the curtains toward us. I have never been so terrified in my life. I was sure we were going to die. All of the danger flags were going off. It got quiet for a while. We finally braved it out and came down the stairs to peek and see if anyone was there. There was no one. The front door was shut and still locked. We didn't book the party there again after that. One Halloween, my best friend and I went trick-or-treating in my great-aunt's neighborhood. Our last year, where going out was still socially acceptable. Most of the neighborhood was quiet, just us and a handful of other kids. We hit this one house that was completely decked out for Halloween, and there was a guy dressed as Michael Myers, knife in hand. I don't even know if it was real, but at the time we completely lost our minds, fangirling over him. Later, as we walked down the street, the night empty and quiet, we realized he was following us. The same Michael Myers, knife in hand, walking behind us all the way to the end of the street. It was a long walk, and we were just kids. At the time we laughed it off. We thought it was funny, even kind of thrilling. But thinking back now, it wasn't a costume. It wasn't a joke, and it wasn't safe. I shiver remembering that walk, knowing how close we might have been to real danger.